Governor Barbour, there's a in the animal kingdom down in Disney World, there's a saying over the animal kingdom, and it says this. It says, we do not inherit our environment from our ancestors. We borrow it from our children. And in that light, you know, I was reading your statement, your written statement, and it said, and I quote, the other major economic impact resulted from the moratorium on drilling. And I want to shift away from broad generalities and focus on specific measures to prevent this kind of massive oil spill from ever happening again. Everyone remembers BP's repeated failures to cap the well. It became clear immediately that BP had no idea how to end this disaster. Every week they would try a new strategy, but it was a complete trial and error fiasco. They tried the top hat. By the way, I was down there when they were trying to build the top hat, but I actually watched them do it. This was a massive steel containment dome lowered into the well. Of course, that failed. They also tried the junk shot. They injected golf balls and shredded tires and drill fluid into the blowout preventer, but that too failed. They tried several more times until finally they tried the static kill. They basically injected mud into the blowout preventer, regulating the flow to a blowout, end of quote. Is that, and so, Governor, here's my question. Do you think this specific safety measure should be repealed?
Congressman, superficially, that's a reasonable statement that you have just made. How it's enforced and regulated is something of which I'm ignorant. But what I do know is we've had more than 31,000 wells drilled in the Gulf of Mexico in my life. This is the only time anything like this, anything vaguely like this, has ever happened. And when you consider the amount of our domestic oil production that comes out of the Gulf and comes from offshore drilling elsewhere, when you consider the fact that we have an energy security, a military security, and a national security issue in this country because we import way too much foreign oil, including a lot from people who are not our friends, then I would not be in favor of anything that reduces the production of domestic oil. I think the risks are way too small compared to what you give up.
So in other words, if this were to happen again, if we had 87 days of oil spewing out into our waters, you're saying that the risk of that far outweighs the economic situation. Is that? And I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. I want to make sure I understand you.
I understand.
Because I'll tell you, I saw a lot of what you saw. You're talking about. I saw the pelicans. I talked to the fishermen. I talked to the tourism people. I even talked to the industry people, a lot of them. And you know what they said? They said, you know what, and this was before we knew the full impact of it. They said, you know what, we agree that we ought to have some kind, we should have the ability to, and it should be proven ability to cap something like this before we even continue.
Well, and I think beyond that, Congressman, it is very clear that this well blew out because normal, standard procedures and protocols weren't followed. I don't think there's any question that corners were cut. I don't know whose fault it was. I don't know who the specific responsible party is, but I don't think there's any question that that was the cause of all this, and that is why I say the risk when out of 1 in 31,000 is worth taking when you're talking about something that's so important to the economy of the United States of America. That's why I have that view.
I understand. Thank you.
Thank you, the gentleman. The gentleman.